welcome to our lovely future humans, the 5D collective. To those who are curious on our lovely Orion messages, if you tuned into our other episodes, strive for excellence and being yourself the smart way. Join us here at IHP with emotionally resilient 5D mystics, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people. And so when you are an emotionally resilient person, you do know leadership, what it is. It's not the loudest in the room, no. And by the way, tomorrow, I believe is Wednesday, we're going to have a TikTok live. Let me go double check that time before I continue. In case you're curious to join us, this is a good time to remind you all. I think I mentioned it in one of the videos, or maybe not. I don't remember. One moment, please. Here it is at, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's about half an hour. Depends if we end up going longer. But the power of mental rest is within you. Body in VVS, ventral vagal state. Emotional resilience, and that's the good type, because your emotional body is online, and your growth mindset. So reflective practices, exploring aspects of growth in areas that you're looking forward to continuing to mature, expand on, refine, and empower further. Routine integration, inner growth mindset with kind, loving firmness, which builds emotional resilience and clear thinking in a way that expands concepts, intellectual topics, and societal culture conversations. Inspiration moments, thinking of how amazing it is to see mental fitness as a lifestyle and intentional living with emotional resilience work in the forefront. It is really amazing to be in our lovely time. And then relaxation rituals. So sitting quietly with sound bath, loving frequency music in the background. That's just one of the ideas. I love sound baths. Well, the sound in the background. And anyways, come join us tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to get it all away. I don't want to give it all away. And that way, Maria.Florio. TikTok should be somewhere on my YouTube main page or in Spotify. Anyways, you'll find it. I'm all over the place. If you don't, you can email me. Okay, back to our episode. So those who strive for their A game, those who become emotionally resilient, they're the ones who do know the principal ingredient of life is love, that your reasoning is convincing and leads to success if you are owning the sense of self. And so that means that you are able to be both your own empowered feminine and divine masculine, empowered masculine. So we're not competing. We're able to not only strive for excellence the healthy way, be yourself the smart way, but also pinpoint when our core wounds or adaptive child parts, depending on how you talk about it, stuff that is actually your own charges when it comes up, and you access the wise adult and the loving adult. And so with that, you do know mediocre people are only dangerous to people who are bringing their B game to that which is every day. Pinocchio is Peter Pan. So there you have 5 hands. Once you've learned their 5 hands, their lack of desire to bring forth joyful relationship, they don't care about your subjective heart, okay? That's why when I said they don't care about themselves, they don't care that you care about them, they don't delight in themselves, they don't delight in the fact that you delight in them, they actually don't care if your heart is broken about it, because half-hearted people. It's not because they have half a heart, it's that they're only using one side of the brain, and they don't think that the subjective reality of other people is important. And they actually feel with grandiosity and full conviction that they're right. That's why they're non-bilaterally integrated, and they're insensitive, as are all of those distorted feminines. They're distorted because they're dysregulated, masculines that are not empowered. Half a brain working, okay? So they don't use the left and right together. Technically, the left and right don't work together unless you're the one who is bringing forth the bilateral integration, because you can have that which is the awareness, self-aware, accountable, regulating, and reflective, and notice subjective reality is true. And I will not be an asshole and be disrespecting another person's feelings. And what to be with, it's about what is right, now what feels right. That's all feels of an individual who's a cynic, destructive mindset. Then we have our escapists, destructive mindset. Then we have our not healthy perfectionist, destructive mindset. Thank you on Laura Lacan, as she points out, experimental mindset. So small gratification hits are for those who live fantasy stages, who escape life. They escape their emotional body. They have maladaptive patterns of behavior, inner critic, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking, and a bunch more of maladaptive everything. And as Dr. Amy Opegan points out in neuroception, they choose to ignore. No, she points out that they will reject supplements, to say the least. That's amazing. No, it's not. I actually see people rejecting that which is good, healthy advice. And they say because they want to live a good life. That's called your reasoning is convincing and leads to success. Sure it does. Hey, left brainers, what's up? You doing great? Awesome. When you're a whole 3-year-old heart with a teenager, with a grown-up in the room, it's like, okay, I might not like that spoonful of medicine, but I don't want sugar in it because I actually know that it's bad for me, and I will be objectively aware of it. So the subjective reality comes in the mix with feelings because we respect each other. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. So when I've had moments in interactions with people, there have been where they have gotten offended. I have apologized, and people say, why, if you're not wrong? Because I care about a person's feelings is why. So they think you're a pushover. I don't give a shit of what they think. I'm not an insecure human being who needs to be patted on the back. I actually care of integrity, morality, and if somebody is hurt in their feelings, I care to be a person who's decent. You don't have to care. You can be all egoic and insecure as you want. Okay, so emotionally resilient people don't put up with bullshit, but we also don't allow ourselves to think that it's okay to hurt someone's feelings. You don't prove intent. Stranger said to me, I'm not enough to be saluted, while they were being rejected by someone else. I had nothing to do with their upset. So emotionally immature people, they're not curious, open, accepting, or loving. They don't care about you. They will care about what they want. They will not notice that your feelings are hurt. If it is hurt, it doesn't matter. They find every single excuse to be on the right side, and that's about as simple as it gets. It's not a losing strategy, Terry Real. It's just something we accept because, well, some of us, I use my time in better ways. My facade friend taught me how not to yell in people's faces. So, strive for excellence, be around A-game people, emotionally resilient, they're all here. Also, cosmic karmic balancing always takes place. We don't cut cords with our brothers or sisters. Did I mention that as a 5D mystic, I have the honor of being raised by good Christian Catholic catechists, and so Jesus, God, Holy Spirit are always with me, and God is the one who chimes in, reminding me of what humility sounds like. I chime in and tell him about how cloaked people are actually not bringing us all together, and he chimes in to remind me not to make a big deal out of things. And then he reminds me that all my brothers and sisters are the same and of equal value, because I already told him there's no monster Lucifer in any of them, and that the scientists figured out how to help every single brother and sister of mine to get the kingdom of God, heaven in their body. So we're all equally the same. Those who are unkind and choose to be unhealed, well, we know where they come from. In fact, they're not good hunters or gatherers, and that means they're not empowered masculines or empowered feminines. And we'll notice who they are because they will play something very, very divisive. So let me leave that alone. Let's talk about Orion. And it was funny to see my own masculine in one of my lifetimes as a warrior. I've seen many of them as an Akashic record reader. And in this one that I saw in my LBLT, it was fascinating because, see, this is the part of what a true leader knows, is that you don't need to be loud. Furthermore, true leader doesn't involve every single bit of everyone involved in anything, because you need them to be emotionally resilient, which means they need to be emotionally intelligent. If a person can't notice their own biases, they need to have those who will be able to notice that which is their own biases for them in a way of conversation, not dismantling. So lack of self-aware of biases, reactivity, emotionally immature people are actively stupid, not smart, because they lack visibility of the one thing they all have, like my facade friend, an Achilles heel. They do not rejoice in bonding, and their small little hits of gratification are meaningless and futile, to say the least, because it is not going to last long. And so when you are a leader type A game, you're not going to be wanting to be motivated from the external. You don't need to make it sound all fancy. You're going to be recognizing every time you wake up in the morning, I have thoughts and feelings. Meaningful, meaningless. Oh, look, human secondary consciousness. Personality patterns, temperament, attachment. That's what securely attached people will be able to do. They're self-led. We bond, certainty, self-agency. Every human is the same. You know yourself, you know every human around you. There's no monster in any of them. Low frequency, it's pretty much a sad story, by the way. By the time you meet all types of them, I can tell you that I have, and it's not fascinating, and they're not dangerous. The ones who want to talk to me about criminals, I know all about. Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, evil skill. The ones who want to talk to me about politics, I know all about politics. That's my background. The ones who want to talk to me about the stars, I know all about the stars. So again, cosmic karmic balancing, it takes place. I saw it with my own eyes. Obviously, you don't know the stories, but it's a subjective experience. Scientist Thomas Campbell proves, thank you Thomas Campbell, that every single bit of everything is love. So scientists are showing what consciousness is, and God is very much smiling, and that's because, again, he encourages, strengthens, and he also likes to comfort and support his children, the ones who are holding a placeholder for limited beliefs and ignorant, very ignorant, what others want to use the word toxic, but it's not necessarily that. There's a lot of people who don't go to school, they don't value it. Then there's a lot of people who are left-brained alone and think that they've proven a bunch of things. So it's a lot more in depth is what I'm trying to say, and which is why you don't break anything down in a too black and white thinking. The only ones who do good and bad, like children still do, are the same 0-8-year-olds, because when I was about 18, by that point I learned to never say never. So as you grow up, if you own your sense of self, you don't change, you become more of yourself, and you realize where the grown-ups knew some things. Once you're a grown person and you're intellectually savvy, you know scientists know a lot of things and they're awesome. And you know that spirituality stories supported us in the past. Today they can still support, but there's no monster inside of any person. When the ones who are using our ancient timelines like to give us timelines, that's because they want to know how the future will progress, which means they're actually afraid of the future. But they also are looking for ways to make sense of things that happen. Furthermore, there are things that are taking place that all of us who are tapped in know, which is why we're all voices for a collective. The 5D collective knows that we're moving along as humans do, evolving, expanding. Our societal culture is transforming. There's no battle going on. When in the 60s or whenever it was, Elvis came around, they cut his legs off, then we moved from that TV to another TV. And so I remember my teenage friends, they were being just as ignorant as grown women now who say, oh, your men are watching porn, they're polyamory. No, they're not. They have to actually be talking about it if they're interested in being a part of the dynamic, and we don't have to pick polyamory or monoamory. And we can actually know that love means you do you and I do me, and we're in good company, because if you're differentiated and you're an emotionally resilient human being, you're independent. So you don't get your boo-boo feelings hurt and then think I'm going to watch my fucking back for the rest of your lifetime. Actively, I thank my teenage boyfriend for breaking up with me, and every single person after that, because every time I've been broken up with, I've always learned something. I'm doing great. I didn't close my heart. I didn't stop believing in love. No, because why would I stop believing in love? What does one human being have to do with love? Love is every day. The art of loving, Eric Fromm, first man who spoke of love the way that I've always felt it. It's a verb, like the sense of self, when it's owned. People who don't own integrated brain, they don't know these feelings because they have yet to become what they were meant to be in the first place. Who you were meant to be became paused, as Patrick Tian points out, those who are masked. They will unpause it and become their real self. They will stop projecting and being immature once they heal and become the real man, the real woman, the real person they were meant to be, and they just didn't get off to the good start. But if they actually care about leaving a legacy behind the real way, they're not going to be fear-mongering, ancient, ignorant human beings who continue to be divisive in ways and words that are completely unimpressive. I mean, if anyone is intellectually savvy, you're going to have noticed what I noticed. When it comes to humanities, social sciences, every single bit of those subject matters, because I love all my smart teachers, all the people I learn from, the ones I keep learning from, the researchers, all of them. And I know that school's not going to go away because there are smart countries out there in our entire globe. What do you think? The globe is made of a bunch of different countries, and the smart ones know what happens. Because a hunter learned the terrain because they were a hunter. The gatherers, okay? So when the times change and the environment is different, those who continue to want to bring back the ancient environment are the ones who don't notice that they're resisting that which is already here, and they're not going to be helpful. But that's okay, because not all of people have to be their A game. Not all of people have to welcome their prefrontal cortex, because they don't have to. Like a Zen master says, he has laundry, and he's trying to tell you to watch out for charlatans. In the meantime, I'm like, he can't cry, and he wants the title Zen. That's a mediocre Zen master, because he doesn't know how to do the thing called become curious and have compassion. And he also seems to be judging human beings. Or no, he's judging sadness as something bad. So he is actively not able to sit in silence, allow 90 seconds to pass, and feel deeply that which just took place. People who don't know it, they scribble on boards. So what do you think a true hunter and true gatherer, you think they're going to actually be what those ignorant, non-bilaterally brained people are? See, that's the other part. When you see anybody actually presenting a mediocre version of our human species, you'll always notice who they are, because they give you the most absurd stories which don't even match up with the real stories, as history has real data and ways of telling you about things, explaining. So I will not choose a bullshit story over the explanation. I will always be mesmerized and fascinated by when Neil deGrasse talks about the cosmos in his stuff, or a historian and anthropologist talks to me about how hunters and gatherers work every day. No, they have like a very little bit of work. They go catch their food and then they hang out and have fun. So you'll see that educators continue to thrive. The most amazing of their words are, here's how things happen. Did you know that dancing, the reason we dance, it became a thing, or music, something like that. This was from one of the Netflix good documentaries, is because by making a sound that was big, we were able to keep the animals away, or make it sound like we were a big animal. So while I understand the other bits of stories that come out every now and then, what I'm trying to say is our scientific community, when they explain things to you and you embody being a human in addition to being somebody who is a mystic, spiritual, having a relationship with consciousness and beyond, you're not upset. You're actually mesmerized, and then you remember, yeah, I have 24 hours. Why would I ever want to be mediocre? Why would I ever want to treat myself like shit? Why would I ever want to make ill use of my time while I have only 24 hours? Why would I ever use my time to make not one little bit of dent of something positive? And so here's where we all will seek that which is our comfort, our comfortableness. We all do our habits. When you're ready for more, you will automatically move into more if you have that which is called a leadership-like attitude, because you have a positive inner growth mindset. So it means you know what negative is, but it's not really negative. Negative is simply the opportunity for you to expand more. In fact, there's not really a negative. You don't fail. Even when you fail, you don't fail. You'll find out something about yourself. We're all with weak spots. Nobody's perfect, okay? So nobody loses a seat at the table, though. Because we're all human, there's one thing we have in common. We will want one human being to at least be connected to. We all will want to bond. You know, loneliness kills more than cigarettes at this point, or something like that. But the ones who are watching their fucking back, they continue to be lonely because they haven't healed that 3-year-old, and they're continuing to live the implicit memory that they want to deny that they have. Because that's the only reason any of groups of people would be so upset at all of the modern day therapists, the way that I see and hear all those other groups. They would be so upset at everything that is part of that which is a process of societal culture and society changing. Again, I'm humanities, social sciences major, so I didn't really realize how many basically high school versions of human beings I had out there in the world. I got booed for asking for homework on a Friday evening. I wasn't like, oh my God, let me be afraid. It was indifference because I don't want to copy idiots. I have things to do, places to be. By the third cheating incident, do you know what you want in life? Because seriously, this is getting ridiculous. I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm getting to college. There's more ridiculous people. I'm 45. Believe me, it doesn't get any better when you meet the ridiculous people. But at least I can have fun with it, which is why I love you, God. Don't worry. I'm going to stay down on the ground. He taught me how not to play know-it-all. My masculine achieved full-fledged Dharma, thank goodness. I don't want to be in any way, shape, or form misaligned anymore. Oh, I'm so happy the past is gone. The future is going to be brighting. Yes, it's going to be looking bright. And as for 4D, 3D, they will not be back on planet Earth. They will go to some other planet because 5D is what and beyond. The frequency of our lovely Earth is, I know you might have more questions. There's no need. For right now, at least, it's not important. The Orion constellation is home to a number of higher beings, many of whom are dedicated to the evolution of our planet. Even though the idea of the constellation being a hunter may make it seem highly masculine, its energies are in fact similar to those of the Lemurians, and its inhabitants therefore honor all beings. So here you understand that the person has a opinion about the masculine. As they point out, it's highly masculine, and though it's Lemurian, so they're presenting to you that they have something else, which is where we can find those who are not able to discern with equanimity and love, and then able in their prefrontal cortex, because that's why emotional resilience equals emotional intelligence, mental intelligence, and not your brain falls out of your asshole, but you have an ego and a self, and you have an intellect that says, I'm a wise grown fucking adult who understands that there's an in-depth approach to any subject matter. You don't have to like it, you can know it. Consilience approach is what the left brain does not like. For left does not like that science and spirituality come together. It's instinctive, meaning it's a subconscious thing. I don't know it because I already had my two sides working together. But the way Dr. Daniel Siegel explained it, the left comes on around the 2-ish of age. It's the word part. And if you say yoga brings demons out of you, no, it doesn't. You know, like you can't say something that is opposing the other without it thinking that then it's bullshit. And that's the best way I can do to explain it. He does a better job than I do, but yeah, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. My left brain has never really done that, except for probably when I was a kid. Yeah, I argued with my mother about how to put the toilet paper, because in school they taught me that the right way was this way, and she wanted to put it that way, and I argued with her about it, and she was like, look, it doesn't matter. And so that's how you understand, if you're grown up, at a certain point you fucking stop saying it's one way or the other, and you start realizing there's more than one way. And that's why it's not impressive to notice those who think they're empowered by arguing with each other. But again, let's leave it alone. Limited belief people and limited egos are just complete. They call it ego death, dark, ego don't die, dark night of soul don't. There's called, if you have shit going on, life happens, unknowns, uncertainties, unexpected, unwanted. You stay open-hearted. You go with the flow. It's called you have compassion, but you need to be able to be connected. So if you're not connected with your inner world and you're making up some bullshit story, ego death, darkness, soul, it's my twin flame, it's the stars that are attacking me. You see what I'm saying? So that's the 3D, 4D, frontal lobe swap down, using amygdala, alert, their survival mode, their mediocre choice. They want to be in that which is called ups and downs and merry-go-rounds, because they're fighting each other. No, they're like teenagers who are getting off of small little hits of that dopamine shit. Gratification, that's it. They don't care about other people. See, that's why they don't care about the joyous, what was it, that lovely Terreal. I need to talk about that one. You know what, I might talk about that one next. But he actually has a lovely way to present what real men are, and what real men means. Those who are, yes, right here, moving beyond gratification to something deeper, relational joy. Deeper down pleasure of being is simply being connected. And so yeah, when you meet people who are ego driven, therefore they are self-serving, and their self-serving is this way, it's easy for them to leave that which is a conversation of two opposing views as I'm right, you're wrong, and not actually be completely aware that no, you're not right, I'm not wrong. So my facade friend and I, we have the most amazing debates when we have had. I call him a hypocrite. He called me a hypocrite afterwards. I called him a hypocrite because he doesn't keep his word, and he's an asshole, and he does things out of convenience. But I love him to death because we all have vices, we all have flaws, we all have shit going on. But really, it's also because I didn't realize all these people would grow up to become emotionally immature. Today that I do know, it's not many will be called and few will be chosen or whatever. Many will be chosen, how that saying goes. It's either you own yourself, become a person of integrity, or you don't. If you choose to turn the other cheek, great. If you learn how to process sadness, awesome. Anger, all those feelings, become a wise adult. You're going to have a good time in life. Be a mediocre one. You're going to have whatever the mediocre ones are having. It wasn't something that was rocket science when I was a kid. You chose bad. You chose good. Then you find out the liars. They only do things because they got told what to do. Here's your list of to-dos, and they're not participating. Half-hearted people, half-assed people, they don't grow the fuck up. When you grow the fuck up, you don't have a chip on your shoulder, which is why you can notice when somebody does, and then they throw it at you. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that was a chip. Oh, look. Hey, I got all the 5 chips. Hey, now I know who you are. You're not an enemy. You're just one of those. We don't have enemies out there, by the way. That's only for petty people. I remember, but how do you know? What if somebody screws you over? Well, if anyone screws me over, I'm going to think as long as I'm physically alive, it's okay. I mean, really, do you have an issue with people? Can't you trust people? So the masculine, anyone who is basically a masculine alone, what I call it is the left brain by itself, they end up becoming blinded to their own bullshit. My facade friend, I called him a hypocrite, and then I said, what do you think? Do you think I'm a hypocrite? And he's like, yeah. I was like, no, I'm not. And in my head, here's where with wisdom, but wait, you said he was a hypocrite. Let him talk. He has a point. He obviously has a point of view, Maria. That was my download. I didn't realize I was downloading. So when your higher self never dies, you know how to hear the wise adult. You're self-led. And then if you're tapped into consciousness, but FYI, I'm okay with scientists wanting to say we're woo-woo. Sure, whatever. You're not spiritual. But I'll take it because I know how my brain works. I know I'm going to want to make sense of something. Difference is I don't bullshit myself, as I don't cherry pick what I learn. I know I'm going to make sense of something. I'm also going to learn from those who are smart, and then I'm going to spot the bullshitters a mile away and leave them alone because I don't want to deal with the bullshitters. Pseudo-intellectuals know how to wield their mouth. It's not weaponizing when a person is securely attached and healthy, self-worth, and empowered, because you don't make me feel bad because you're manipulable. Those are the only people who try to make you feel bad for things, you see? That's the only way they got out of trouble or whatever it was as they were growing the fuck up. When instead you're not afraid of being yourself. It's like, yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'll just notice that I have a person in front of me who doesn't know how to take it or dish it or actually realize that here we're not connecting. So self-centeredness and egoicness is very clear if you're open-hearted, because they won't be online, and we're all nervous systems. It's not because emotions are contagious. When people are lacking the awareness of what an integrated brain, restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable person is, I'm not, because I'm all attachment trauma educated. And so 5D collective are people who are thriving due to our ventral energy, thanks to being anchored always in and on. And anyone who's off, it's a wonder. I'm like, why would you ever be off of that which is your mammalian heritage? I don't understand. Do you not know how to use your prefrontal cortex? That's right, the Zen master with laundry. So when people use their temporal junction, they're relating to the event that took place from the past. They're not moving into physiological state of compassion. So they don't know how to use their frontal lobes, let alone do they use a prefrontal and an integrated brain. They're making up some bullshit story. Why me, why me, why me? Unfair, unfair, asshole, asshole, whatever it is. Instead, when we're crying and thinking about something, it's not a story. It's okay. So when I've met assholes before, like my facade friend, I can cry, get over it. I need air, water, and food to breathe, eat, and live. And I don't need you in my life to live physically. I'm not in the forest with the bear. So when you are an independent human being, it's not, oh my God, they broke my heart and now I'm dead. It's, wow, hey, it's a muscle. It can't fucking break. This is how I handled it by the time I was a teenager. That's how many assholes I met. They're not impressive. Again, as you grow up, you just figured, I didn't figure. I just thought, what the fuck? No, I didn't. I realized what I was dealing with once I got all attachment trauma educated. I was like, that's why they didn't know how to be themselves. Thank you, Bezel Vanderkolk. I was like, thank you so much. I knew something was off with 4D, their magical thinking, their continuous deals with Lucifer monsters, continuing to be bullshitters and assholes when it comes to science. And I'm like, why are they continuing to do it? No, I knew that they would continue to do it. But here's where, as a hunter-gatherer and a warrior myself from the stars and beyond, I can tell you it is amazing to meet the 5D collective who appreciate sciences, earth angels, star babies, all that. So we're not happy to see 3D, 4D staying in their low bar. But if that's the best they can do, yes, God, thank you. If he likes to remind me to pick it down a notch. Everyone has the best they can do. And when it comes to people that are on that other end of the spectrum, I still to this day remember leaving all my classrooms, crying my eyes out with the people who were coming to the classrooms with us, thinking, how can we help? How can we help? How can we help? And they all said the same thing, the somatic therapist. Hey, calm down, children. You're all upset. They were trying to calm down people who care about every human being out there versus the assholes who want to tell us about lack of imagination for evil. You lacked education and you still want to use that fucking word because that's the only way you're going to keep people divided. So when you hear evil, demon, that's playing with words. When you hear anyone with it, they're lacking intellect. They're also lacking emotional intelligence. The only reason you play small like that is when your brain is that small. That's how I feel about anybody who needs to wield their mouth with a good and a bad side. You're not an academic. You're not an educational person. You're not obviously aware of subject matters. You completely get destabilized with any kind of thing that is thrown your way. Wow, I just need to throw a couple of curveballs to get you going. I get really excited and I get really passionate. I'm still mastering, in fact, my physical plane. Do you know what Maria has as her opportunity to continue mastering it? Thanks to you all. because I come here to talk about be yourself, inspire human potential, not about me, but obviously there's a lot of times I'm sharing about me. And that's where the mastery comes in. What am I doing this for? I'm doing it to share with you all the capacity for you to tap into your infinite higher human conscious potential. Of course, I have feelings, so yeah, you get to hear them too. That's why also the 5D Mystic Skeptic Nutritionist Diary. But I'm not caring to make it it's a Maria inspiring, you know what I mean? Maria human potential thing. But the point is we're obviously going to share moments, or I'm sharing moments since I have the platform here. And once we get together, we'll get to share it in unison as we take turns and stuff like that, which is really fun. But when my friend called me hypocrite, it's because I say this and that are true. And when he said that, I said, yeah, that's true. I do that. Okay, so for you, I'm a hypocrite. I didn't reject his subjective reality because he dressed me up. I dressed him up. Here's where I'm going to say, no, I didn't dress him up because he doesn't keep his word. But I'm okay with saying, yeah, I dressed it up because relationships are about subjective reality, as Terry Real would point out. And I won't be an immature, emoji child about it and saying, my way is right, your way is wrong, and continue to hold it on a finger. However, if I talk about it, also you're still holding on to it. Not really. I'm holding on to nothing, but it's a memory. It's part of our story. And do I need to not talk about my story? So this is why it's always fascinating when you have people. Are there things that you think about that you don't put to the side? Yes, but if they're not charged, they're part of your story. And I'm sure if you're emotionally resilient, you understand this. Then there are things that are still charged, and you'll know that. And that's your opportunity for mastery, which is why you're like, oh, I still have more things to master. Yes, that's awesome. So you're not afraid of being seen in your emotional field. So here's where, as a perfectionist, I'm a healthy kind, but that Enneagram thing says that we hide our anger because we need to hold our self-image. And then, no, I don't hide my anger. I can do it very well with my mom, my twin. My younger sister has seen me before. They've seen me grow up. They've seen me become that which is called Maria as a grown-up version. And then they've seen me, no, I froze in this one little exercise, and I can tell you why. And my mom, she said, it's true. That's how you react to other people, not with me. I was like, yeah, because you let me be my angry little butthole. So when it comes to strangers, I'll freeze and I'll shut it, and I will cower away, not in shame, in fear, physical for sure, because I'm a 4'9" woman. Do you think that I stand a chance with any human being who decides to begin to get in there sympathetic with me? So with that, I'm a smart human being. And if someone says chicken, I remember Back to the Future. I'm not a dumbass or a moron or an idiot like teenagers who grow up and still chicken actually have this bullshit. Wow, so basically you're manipulable. Let me close you in a room with a bunch of fraternity, sorority. Let me tell you how I'm going to make you into a man and a woman, into getting yelled at over here and over there. Oh, look, they're becoming people that don't notice that that's completely unimpressive. Be game, half. Okay. That's how I feel about those who need other people to push them around. It's like, God don't push you around like that. And that's not a Lucifer monster. Those are a bunch of morons who are acting like very uninteresting, toxic human beings who, Diego's family, what are you doing? You teaching grit to each other? Wow, so impressive. Not really. Environment, change. Different. Those who don't like it, Elvis, his legs got cut off. I mean, really, we are having the same thing happen right now. Unimpressive, completely. Oh, I didn't think I would see the 43Ds for what they really were. I thought they would actually join us and become grounded in reality, mystics and spiritual and mindful ones who could honor every single bit of all of our stories, science included, and then say, So there's a lady who has done more than just one of those readings, like prophecies or something like that. And I have been looking, because we all watch a little bit of the articles in the news, and what she spoke of came to be. In fact, I wonder, I should go watch one of her episodes to see if she's noticed it as well. So it came to be in a number of ways, but it's very different from how she presented it, which I actually, as an intuitive myself, know that is how it happens. But it came to be in a way that makes me think, and I will wait for that one. Okay, so let me finish with Orion. Its energies are in fact similar to those of the Lemurian. I will go to page 103 after to read it. And its inhabitants therefore honor all beings. So we honor all beings, which is why A game, B game don't matter. I will be using words mediocre people, not mediocre people, because those who want to become that which is the excellent person they can be are going to welcome who they are. Those who don't want it, it's not our business to tell anybody what to do with their body or their mind. And again, for my ITs, and I get all excited, all of this, and I'm sure I'll be taken out of context. I take people out of context all the time. I don't like the idea of it, but I know that it can happen because also I use words differently sometimes, so a bunch of different things. But the point of always every episode is to leave people who are expanding, those who are smart, not those who are ignorant. I have never been interested in an ignorant person's opinion. Anyone who has a charge that they do not become aware of, like my facade friend, they're hypocrites. I will take what they share with me seriously because it's part of who they are. They will dress me up, and so I will welcome that I'm dressed up by a human being who lacks the capacity to learn to be self-reflective, aware, accountable, regulate, and expand to understand I'm a human. I'm a differentiated self. I have my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own personality patterns, my own everything, and you, none of us, have a right to tell us how to talk about ourselves in a relationship. As it comes to society, we go vote. We create change in our systems, and that's what we are actively doing. We don't need to do it with violence. We can do it with our very two hands building together, with our words very calmly, with equanimity. The ones who don't like it, they won't be back. They lack emotional resilience. They lack using their prefrontal. They don't want to. They want pitchforks and with the bystanders, like the teenagers do, act like badasses because they're going to get justice, which is why they have a savior complex, which is also why they're spiritual bypassers. And that's also why they're egoic, grandiose, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. They think they're better than someone else. When people use big words to separate these groups, as if it's only masculine or patriarch or feminine and matriarch, it's both sides have a distorted version of each other, and the smart ones will know it, which is why we won't play that card, because we're not playing cards. The ones who are playing cards, they're not playing cards. They're buffoons who are wielding their mouths, and together they go, like the flat earthers, make a lovely teenage little group, and that's why I can spot them like a hawk. There's one, there's one, there's one. They're not a leader. What kind of a warrior would actually completely make themselves visible like that? Wow, yeah, you know what? It's actually good that we can hear you. Speak a little bit louder. Could you speak up, 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 up? We need to really make sure we understand correctly what it is you're looking for. We fill the gaps, you know what I mean? We're always in the background because we're not really caring to be in the spotlight. No, that's not what we, nope, we don't want the spotlight. We like to hear things because that's exactly why you leave a legacy behind. You don't think no small dreams. You know big dreams, but you also know that we're not needed. God's got everything taken care of. Those of faith, those who are of science, dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. Keep on looking how to get off the planet. Hey, I really hope you find out. No, I know you're going to figure it out. That's exactly why we're a team. Science and spirituality, smart people. You don't doubt that which is academia, because all of a sudden there's a bunch of morons on screen telling you how academia is wrong. It doesn't work perfectly. Yes, we know that. When you have those who bring in all these hypotheticals based on something that is actually, I heard a journalist say, we will teach by giving stories. No, you're creating stories. You're not teaching. You're going to actually have people who are going to bring in more stuff. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, let me not make a big deal out of it, because there's a quantitative analysis and a handful of it. And I'm going to be grounded in reality as a woo-woo pseudoscience and let you all know. Thank you, Thomas Campbell. I love that you're a physicist and you're explaining how consciousness works. Thank you for making it tangible. And yes, we all make sense of something because that's how our brains work. I have a little Hansel and Gretel right here. Look. No, I don't. But my point is, that's why you're smart. You know that you'll always make sense to yourself, which is why my facade friend, I'm a hypocrite to him. I respect his opinion. I can make fun of him all I want. I love him to death. And that's the difference between those who lack the capacity to notice. You don't have my thoughts and feelings. That's it. You don't accept them, you're basically unseeing me, and then you're dressing me up with whatever you want. I don't care, because you didn't unsee me. You let me know that I don't matter. That's why it's the broken heart thing, because that's the bonding. You just told me you don't give a shit about my feelings, you don't give a shit about my thoughts, you don't give a shit about my differentiated self, and you would want me to dress up like you, which I'm not. And so you have what is not even a splinter or a rupture if you're a securely attached, non-traumatized 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, because it's, okay, I got a grown up in the room that's like my facade friend. That's it. That's how it works. Oh, by the way, your oversoul. If there's one thing that hones in for an empowered feminine this truth, and it's why we don't dress them up in a way of calling them anything except for what their human names are. And I always love, as I continue to look and say, wow, you know, perfection, that's what God is. He's perfect. So is cosmic karmic balancing, so is Akash. Everything's perfect. So I can't, as a mystic, actually ever tell you that I'm afraid of the future, because I'm not. Because God isn't scary. Nor is Mother Earth, nor is any of the stars. However, I can tell you that as I'm grounded in reality, thanks Neil deGrasse, I will listen to him and find out how the science space is doing because I care about that. That's actually not my forte, meaning I don't know everything about the cosmos at all. And so I do want to hear how they continue to talk about the real stuff. As for us, we can continue having fun with our stuff. That's why spiritual growth and personal growth. Why would you not do it? And so when you're excelling and all your beautiful glory, empowered feminines, empowered masculines, and that's any person, if you don't use those words at all, you're being yourself, you're enjoying life, you're enjoying people. Yes, we got crap and shit going on. We know that. We're going to work, as always, as humans do, to fix it because we're not broken. We were ignorant. Some people are still going to be ignorant. Some people suffer. They don't want to learn how to be deeply emotional. They're going to continue being ignorant, suffering, and choosing their mediocre games. And they can continue doing that while we handle that which is called hanging out with the 5D masses. So they have the 3D, 4D masses. They won't hear us because they don't even want to be near ventral energy. And that's the part. They really don't. It triggers them because they're really in a frequency of small little dopamine hits. That's all they want. And so when instead you're always on, it's hard for them to hang around you because their body's like, I want in. It's called, they're co-regulating to self-regulating body. And so, yeah, it's not something you tell them, though. It's okay. The beings of Orion are, in fact, sacred space holders who help all of those with star power and star potential to make the changes required to become the most ascended and aware form of themselves. I love these words. So basically, when you become restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, integrated brain, I'm going to use the technical science words. You own all your child parts, so you own the sense of self. You can observe, witness, narrate. You're a sovereign, okay? You're a sovereign of you. You overflow in the humanity stuff. You apologize to people. It doesn't matter if they're actual assholes or not assholes, meaning, you know, we don't give two shits about that. We're not needing to prove ourselves. We just want to get out of there, especially if it's a not interesting room. But if it's a person you love, you want them to feel loved. You want everyone knows how it feels to be rejected. I was a 4-year-old, okay, and abandoned. So we don't do that to our brothers and sisters because you can always reiterate that which is your healthy everything. I have not, in my years of 45 years of age, cut people out, except for my facade friend who I didn't talk to for 5 years, but he taught me how I would never do that again. Then I have been actually ixnayed, yes, and when it's happened a few times, I was like, I didn't lose anything. And one of the few times I was very, very upset, but luckily for me, it was not long-lived. And that's because I love to the death of me and beyond all of my oversoul. In fact, if ever the others who did the ixnay came around, I'd be like, hey, what's up? You want to talk? I love you. I still love you. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. So that's how it works. But you don't lose anything if people actually want to cast a stone at you because they're humans. They're made of flesh. They're flawed and imperfect too. And that's about it. So yes, we don't give a shit about somebody casting a stone. I have integrity. I don't have the thing of telling me society what I am because society doesn't actually dictate me. I know exactly what etiquette means, which means I know good manners. So it means I know how to be polite. And when someone said, oh, that doesn't have to be saluted, I was polite. You didn't tell him you didn't like him in his face. That's not nice. No, mom. No, mom, I didn't. I actually didn't even become friends with him. He was drunk, he was upset, he had gotten rejected, and the minute I'm saying hi to everybody, but he's not my friend, he turns around and says, I'm not enough to be saluted, which is a low self-esteem, insecure human beings, manipulative, desperate attempt, and there's your on-off switch. So what does Maria do as a self-regulating wise adult who's, someone said sovereign something, or was it compassionate sovereignty? But he's a smart man. I think he was a man. I don't remember the name, but he came on alive and was like, yeah, I was like, wow, thank goodness I hadn't never had anyway say that one. They're all like, but why? You could have yelled in his face. But what, did you say it right, Maria? The men say, did you say it right? The women, you could get in his face or pat him on the back. This guy's a smart guy. He's like, no, you did this. He had words for it. See, you need smart people around you. Don't hang around limited belief people who are small-minded and who actually harbor that which is called, what? You want to be friends with them? But they did the cheating thing. I said I love them both. I have a good time with them. I thought we were going to just stay friends. I didn't realize they weren't going to talk to me. It took me 10 years to be able to talk to my teenage ex-boyfriend now. Please remember, he's not anywhere. He's just a person that I was with. That way we don't create any issues. And her and I have a spiritual connection. So when people didn't support me, I didn't think that I was the weird one. I thought, you're all very weird. You think I pretend to use my mouth? I mean, I thought you knew what love meant. Apparently you don't know what it means, but that's again for limited belief people who are insecure, who have the stereotypes, generalizations, who want to not leave anything impressive to the future. So I'm going to let you know it's impressive. I love knowing that we have a polyamory community, monoamory, that we have open-minded people who are not charged, and those who do know how to use words with all. So we're not closing it up in little limited boxes, making assumptions, stereotypes. We're not charged, but that's only some people. I remember when I was in college, I actually asked a question, and the person later said, that's rude. You asked my heritage. I thought I was finding out where you were coming from. I have heritage. I'm half Italian. I'm part Italian. I didn't realize that was rude. And so once again, when people just use words, you just need to leave it alone because, it gets hard to talk to anyone. Personally, I try to find the ones with no chips on their shoulder, the ones who don't make it into like censorship every single bit of everything that's coming out of your mouth. They continue to, use that's rude, that's bad manners, that's insensitive, it's like, wow, okay, I think I'm not talking anymore. This is just easier. So some people, again, my facade friend, I'll take him any day, him and his asshole-ness, because I'd rather have that, which is what I thought assholes were. I thought they were able to be actually just always in your face. The other ones who are whiners, I didn't hang out with any of them when I was a teenager. Like it was easy to spot the ones like, do that because they're clingy. I am definitely a person who loves to hug people. And I can definitely be a clinger, but my mother taught me better. And so I learned how not to do it. And so I still learned to say, okay, I'm quite the affectionate human being. My 3-year-old's all over this. I'm always like, I'm a grown woman, but I'm very, very much full of like, I just want to hug you like that little migration movie, little bird. Like, that's who I am. Like, I can't help it. And so sometimes people like to make fun of that. I've told you that story. I love my friend. Oh, when he did that. So you don't hug everyone, Maria. Well, actually, you should know. And I told him about what happened. I saw them scurry off with their little butt 3 times. I was like, maybe they just don't like me. I just met them anyways. And then I found out they don't like to be hugged. So now I realized, wow, we have people who are sensitive, who don't like to be hugged, don't know how to tell it to my face. They end up randomly telling it to me, side note, and I'm like, oh, so sorry. But that's because I had noticed micro movements. And so either way, you're so rude, you're this. It's like, okay, well, you know what? You can't get it right ever. So people who are not grown-ups, now I have the word, emotionally mature people are grown-ups. So we have fun with it. I have things that I still work with. Definitely. There's words that trigger me, but not in a way of, but I get all passion and stuff. That's why we do our emotional resilient work. And that way we continue to have the opportunity to smile and have fun and become more and more neutral. And so when you're in the spaces with the people who are in a low frequency, you recalibrate and you act in this very suavemente, no besame, no, but you basically don't have a sympathetic jolt. You have a, oh look, differentiation, immediately. I'm mixing up my words. So Lemurian. Lemurian was a civilization that was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in ancient times. The inhabitants of this sacred land lived in complete harmony with nature and had a connection with every living being, similar to the movie Avatar. Wow, movie Avatar. Who knows, maybe they were Lemurian, the ones who made it, or maybe they already knew about the Lemurians. Their inner vision was fully activated to the point where it is thought that their pineal gland was fully developed and they could see for hundreds of miles in every direction in a similar way to the sonar of dolphins and whales. The majority operated from their heart space, honoring one another in nature. So much so that when their civilization came to an end through a cataclysm, cataclysmic event, most likely the plates of the earth shifting, causing volcanic eruptions and a tsunami, most of them ascended. It is said that these highly attuned beings knew that their civilization would end and decided to send healing waves into another part of the world for future civilizations to benefit from. They telepathically channeled their frequencies into a thought form that would become crystals that would be found thousands, possibly millions of years later. These Lemurian seeds are a type of quartz crystal mostly found in Brazil and Colombia. They are powerful crystals with striations similar to barcodes engraved on their faces. They have a feminine, receptive energy that is said to help us step into a more feminine way of being in order to help the evolution of the species. So if you're curious, you can grab this is the oracle deck. But the beauty of these stories, the beauty is that you're able to talk about it, read about it, but not that you make them the only truth. But some people, that's again the way that everyone is going to be awakened and expanded to themselves comes in different ways. But those who take their humanity seriously don't dress up as that which is the mystical stories. I remember meeting a person who knew they came from a special star, and as they encountered their twin flame, they did the most absurd of things. And when I said, you don't have to do what you're doing, I have 3. Yeah, you have more practice. That's not it. You came from a special star. How are you not knowing how to wield your own inner world and the frequency that you're a part of? Like, this doesn't make sense. And so in time, what I realized is 4D, those are all individuals who don't own that which is their inner world. That which was being experienced by the person can be completely compared to limerence, and also structural dissociation can be compared to the dynamic between anxiety or anxious and avoidance, or whatever those 2 styles are, not the categories, but basically that push-pull. And this is the part of why when you're self-regulating and you're actually able to continue emotional resilience with yourself, you don't forget what you feel like, and that when you're involved in other, that will be part of it, which is why Dr. Daniel Siegel's suggestion is really helpful. And not talking about people as energy vampires or dark auras, because they're none of that. Okay, so a hunter and a gatherer, and anyone who's a human being who is part of that which is, I will welcome all, and I will help those who want to achieve that star power and star potential, infinite higher human conscious potential. I don't dream small, I dream big. I didn't realize that every single bit of being yourself was so hard for people because of them not knowing how to love themselves first, due to the fact that they didn't get what is called a good beginning. Now that I do know, I will continue to iterate. Nothing is more terrible than to see ignorance in action. Dream no small dreams, for they have no power to move the hearts of men. And this part, thank you, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, I will expand on. If you treat an individual as he is, he will remain how he is. Do not judge or cast a stone on a human being who's an emotionally mature one. You learn how to be curious, open, accepting, and loving. They want to bring in their B game, they bring in their B game like my facade friend. You don't cut them out of the herd. You are able, as a good hunter-gatherer and anyone who leads a pack, to notice, I got my weak ones and my strong ones. You don't throw anyone in the wolves. You see what I'm saying? The cowards do that. That's why they're not true warriors. Anybody who leaves a man, a woman, or anyone behind on purpose makes me think the movie Dinosaur. Have you ever watched it? The kid who comes, the younger dinosaur, who tells the big dinosaur who's leaving the old dinosaurs out to die. So whenever someone's like, oh, that's weak as a human, sure, you know what? You keep talking, because you're the limited one. Meantime, those who are objectively aware about what it is to take actual calculated risks will know exactly how to look at everything. That's how it works if you're smart. If you're stupid, you limit exactly that, your potential to do what is not impossible. It's impossible for the ones who don't have the capacity to understand how smart the human being brain is when they want it to be. So if somebody wants to say that they're supposed to get rid of the weak ones, I saw a scientist once, as he said, why are we trying to extend life of these old people? And the way he brought it, I was like, wow, I'm going to go grab your grandma, grandpa, and grandparent. Let me go grab someone meaningful to you, and then let me ask you the question again, because that's really bullshit. And so anytime you're meeting someone who doesn't know how to expand their view and how to understand that when you say that you can give everything a possibility, it's not because you're eliminating that which is the numbers. The only ones who don't know how to make everything possible in their own brain are the same ones who are, again, not actively aware of just how much smarts there are out there if they were. So number one, the hunters and gatherers are one with the earth. The other thing about the left brainers, the ones who don't use an empowered masculine, is that they're afraid of nature, and they'll think of it as cruel. And believe me, I as a human, I don't like to see when nature takes place, because seriously, it's completely upsetting. But at the same time, I do eat meat, for example. Okay, so I'm saying as a human, I know that I bring humanness to a lot of things that animals instead are very much more. They live one with the earth. They live with that primary consciousness. Really what it is there's not the secondary. But let me put that to the side, because I subjectively believe we are giving animals certain types of human attributes, and to be able to be aware of that. That doesn't mean let's go beat the animals up. No, that's not it. I'm not saying that at all. Actually, anybody who's empowered is not going to want to see animals being mistreated, and as a kid. So none of those who are humans in a way of having a heart will want to see things happening in a way that is disrespectful. But the ones who are saying don't eat meat or do eat meat, the ones who are making it into a yes or no, an X or nay, again, that's the limited conversation that I'm seeing. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. That is not accurate. Because if someone is in the dark sides of neuroplasticity with shame, blame, fault, revenge, and they only know this, you will consciously see them as they unfold in that which they have presented to you, like my facade friend, and they will not become that which they ought, meaning their A game. Because they will not move into their integrated brain, and they will not move into a grown, wise adult version of themselves. So they will not become an emotionally resilient, mature human being. They'll be like, I'm a Zen master and there's laundry, so you can't be enlightened. No enlightenment, that's a charlatan because you got laundry. He's ignorant of attachment trauma education, and he's ignorant of noticing his window tolerance. He didn't work on it to get into window welcome. He's using his brain to think things. And it's an alert. I got a cynic who's like, I want to be aware it's about what is right. Now it feels right. You're all feels right now. You don't like us. That's called feeling. I don't like. I can get irritated too. That's a feeling right here. Every time I speak, I have a feeling coming with it. If I'm in my lovely ease state, I'm going to be all joyous. If I get all defensive or excited, my voice changes based on my nervous system. You wear your heart on your face. Okay, so when people don't learn about who they are, not only do they know what an enemy is, because they're not aware. One, we don't have enemies. But this is why I love the quote, the art of war quote that I've read to you before from Sun Tzu. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. When you know every human, in this case, when you know about the different ways that they are going to be defending themselves, and what I'm going to try and say is Maria has learned every bit, and I continue to learn about attachment trauma education, and I have encountered a number of individuals, and they all have the same energetic imprint. So once you meet one specific way that a body will defend itself and all of its child parts and all of that, timber is the same, because it's a structure. It's like a car that has an engine. But the personality patterns, the temperament, their entire human story matters, which is why you don't assume anything. But what I can tell you is an empowered feminine, empowered masculine, a person who is being their self, who has the going with the flow, who's selfless, timeless, effortlessness, and richness. So neuroscientists talk about these are the 4 things that happen as you're entering the flow state. When you're an integrated brain, so you're present, attuning, you're resonating, and you're trusting because you're curious, open, accepting, loving. You don't assume things, so you can be wrong about those which are the societal norms of cultures that you will not always remember, which is why you can become the rude person in the room, because you're not respecting something that is considered to be respected. But those of us who are not leading our heads based on that which will, by the way, 1, go through change, but 2, so Yeah, it's just different cultures, different places. I just find it ridiculous personally that there are so many people who are still acting as black and white thinkers, right or wrong. The only time I thought gala meant something was when I was learning it as a kid. The only time I thought that dressing and everything that was my surrounding mattered was when I was growing up. Then I saw what grown-ups did with their profession and how they actually don't have integrity, morality, and any of that. Meaning they're inconsistent, that they use their mouths and then they don't do any of what they speak. But really, what I should say is that they're using their mouths thinking the words are powerful. And I'm like, yeah, no, I ain't watching what words you're using. I'm watching how you're treating your neighbor, how you're treating yourself, how you're treating everything. And the minute I see your mediocre behavior, I'm not caring what words you use, because like my facade friend is a hypocrite, so is every other person who's an insecure being who doesn't know how they work. It's based on pats on the back. I'm not patting you on the back. I ain't God. And actually, I'm in flesh, and I don't really want to hang out with you anymore. So if you meet a true hunter, true leader, true warrior, true anything, that means leadership. They will know how to be joyous, and they will then know how we don't follow buffoons around, but we also know how to respect, and then we also know about societal change. We also know that smart people know this, and so it's not something that you're going to be divisive about. You're just going to say, okay, we want to hang out with the emotionally mature ones so we can talk about things. And for entrepreneurs, this is very important. That's why Dan Martell, he is really awesome. As he points out, you want to hang around smart people, not the mediocre ones, because you don't want to be around small-minded people. They will talk about opinions that you don't care about. They will fully fill all of this space. I'm not even joking. I'm so happy that I am a solopreneur, that I get educated, and that I then have the people that we're building a community with and the people that are around me. Because whenever I'm going out sometimes and I'm hanging around the people who hang around with pretty much anything and everyone, I'm like, wow, I'm brought back to the time where I was with these couples. They're asking each other for permission to go on holiday. And I'm like, excuse me, I don't want to be mean or rude or any of that, because I know I have different, like, culture. I'm American, even though I don't think it had anything to do with my way of being, especially today with our polyamory community being completely insulted by people who don't know what love is. But, at the end of the day, are they really insulting us? Anybody who wants to use words could insult someone. So long story short, so you ask them for permission, the women ask the men for permission, the men can do whatever they want, or is it this, okay, so did you realize you're adults, right? So I didn't realize you still ask do you ask your parents for permission? Because wouldn't they want to know where you're going to make sure you get home safe, but no, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your partner, yeah, partners, this is where it's very amazing. I found out that people don't know partners is for all life partners, and it's not just in one group, it can be business partners, but apparently people who don't learn things, I don't know what to say. I'm still unimpressed by people who don't want to learn, but I was a teenager who wanted to learn. So, at the end of the day, I just try to remind myself there's a lot of things that I use my time in, and most people no. And the people who don't want to use it in that which is called learning things are not informed. So they probably read, Vogue magazine and I don't know, whatever the gossip stuff is. And so that's why they keep following people around who are ignorant. Yeah, that's very societal soul age group. I forgot to mention I'm in the Enlightenment soul age group. There's different soul age groups. So with that being said, thanks for stopping around and being here with us. Remember, please, you cannot heal trauma with the wrong people. And so when you're a person who's choosing to be healthy self-worth, healthy self-empowered, healthy everything, you want to be around the ones who don't cast stones. You want to be able to discern, and then equanimously you're able to selectively choose how to word yourself when you're repeating your healthy boundaries. It's worked like a charm. I've never had to cancel anybody again. After my facade friend, it was very much aware that I became of how fragile these people are. Then I got attachment trauma informed, and I don't want to break anybody's heart, because that's the thing. You do not do unto others that which was done unto you. My heart can have broken, yes, but it's a muscle, so it didn't really break. And I got disowned by the time I was 8. So that's why I was broken free from effective realism. Thank you, twin. Thanks to her, I know that you can't be disowned, and that people can continuously play, and we play and have fun and fight like cats and dogs, and there you go. And so you just remember that you don't want to break someone's heart, because that's not really nice. And so unless they're needing to be, hey, 911, can you come help me? That's where I like to use good manners. doesn't mean they think you're good-mannered. You deserve to be saluted. No, we won't become friends. Yes, we do frequent the same place. No, I will not be talking to you. Yes, I will be seeing you. No, I will not be interacting with you. And that is all. You put up barriers. No, I'm just telling you how it is. Also, your body speaks with your mouth when you're aligned. Yes, that's why people say, Maria, stop telling the truth. You know, I can't lie. You know this, right? Stop giving me away when I'm doing my stare thing. There's a friend of mine. He loves to give me away. It's not cool. But I love all my friends. So again, we accept all just the way they are. And welcome aboard for those who will be back. Have a good one.